Hello guys, this is Sandra here. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. So today we're gonna talk about the Beauty Bay Pastels palette. Hello. Back to business. Where was I? I don't know. Don't know. Let me just drink my coffee first. Today we're gonna talk about the Beauty Bay Pastels palette. So this came out last week and I was thinking about it for a while, and then I decided to order it because I love color and I do like pastels as well, not as much as brights, but you know, I just wanted to give it a go. I never tried anything from Beauty Bay either, and I thought I'm gonna film a review for you. So I did this look, which you're gonna see later on in this video, and also I played around with it a bit yesterday, just so I have a better understanding of how this palette works and what it does. So now I'm gonna jump into showing you some swatches, then I'm gonna talk you through this tutorial, and at the end I'm also gonna talk about my feelings about this palette and how I think it works best, and just generally what I feel about this palette and what I think. If you only want to see, let's say, the swatches and then my overall thoughts about the palette after playing with it for 2 days now, I'm gonna leave timestamps in the description box, so you can just click straight through the video to whichever part you're interested in. If you want to watch the whole thing, well, please be my guest, I would love that. But you know, if you just want to see a few bits, then that's up to you. So first we're gonna jump into the swatches and then I will see you after that. So I already primed my eyes, and this time I actually used the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and well, obviously my brows are done. But now we're gonna go in, as you can see, and well, you've already seen it in the intro, it's a really soft look. Now I will show it to you in different lights because I feel like my camera is absolutely not picking up anything of it at the moment. But we're gonna start with the shade First Light, and I'm using a Cosette D220 brush. So it's just a fairly dense but still fluffy blending brush, and the fallout in this palette is insane. It's super powdery, and I feel like when you just press the shade down, it gives a lot better color payoff. Why don't I zoom in even more so I can see more what I'm talking about? Oh my god, the camera. So if I just press it down, it gives a lot better color payoff than if I actually try to swoop it on with blending motions, which makes it super hard to blend because it blends away really easily. Like, it's not a lot of color, if I'm honest, but I mean, it's pastel, I know. See, there's already a lot of fallout right there. Camera, if you would focus on my eyes, that would be lovely. Thank you. So we're just gonna clean that up later, but for now it's fine. Next, I'm gonna dip in the shade Daydream, still with the blending brush, but a different one. And again, sort of press it down. Now this is one of the shades that just does really poorly, like really poorly. It doesn't really show up no matter what I do, and you would have seen it on the swatches as well. It was sad. It doesn't do a lot, but well, I want to use all the shades in this look, so gotta do what I gotta do and just build it up. So as you can see, barely shows up whatsoever. Next step, I'm gonna take the Blank Canvas Cosmetics E42. The previous brush, by the way, was the e.l.f. eye crease brush. So next shade I'm gonna go in is the shade Days. And it's gonna pack that in the outer corner. And the thing is, once you start blending these, they disappear. The more you blend, the weaker the color is. So it is really hard to blend them if you want to keep the color payoff. So this will be just a really soft watercolor kind of look, if you can see. Like, maybe if you have a white eyeshadow base, which I don't, but if you do, it might work better on top of that. And at this point, let me show you how my palette looks. You see all that fallout? There's not that much in the purple, but again, that doesn't have a lot of color payoff, so you know. Now we can start packing one color to the lid, and the first shade I'm gonna use is the shade Golden Hour, and I'm taking a flat brush. This is the MAC. I never know the name because it's worn off from the handle of my brush, but I'm gonna use this and pat it in the inner corner. And it has a bit of payoff, but I mean, look at the fallout. It's crazy. But without that, I have no pigmentation whatsoever. And I can show you, I try to use it with my finger as well. It doesn't really help. But again, it's a matte formula, so it's not gonna do that much. Okie doke. That's that shade done. Next, I'm still swapping the brush. If you want, you can just clean it in between steps. I just prefer to swap mine. Next shade we're going in is the shade Euphoria. And I would say this is the better of the purple punch. Punch? No, bunch. Oh my god, why can I not talk? I hope I was in frame all this time. If I wasn't, I'm so sorry. It's gonna be a great video. But honestly, this tutorial part is more just a demonstration, so you can sort of see the colors in action, but I want to film a proper tutorial with it where I use it in a really different way, just as a companion palette. I think it would work beautifully with brights to blend them out. And this is my problem now. I want to go back and like blend this part so it's better blended, but as soon as I do that, the colors are really easy to blend away and you barely see anything. So it's quite hard to do. Okay, and for the outer corner, we're gonna go into my favorite shade, which is Cloud Free, and I just wish all formulas worked like this one. It's still really powdery, don't get me wrong, but the color payoff, can you see that? Like, that is amazing. And then I'm gonna go back in the shade Days, which was the outer corner in the crease, and blend that a bit. And basically that's the eye look. So it's just a really soft watercolor. But again, my palette is a mess. Can you see all the fallout in there? The color scheme is beautiful though. But again, look at all that fallout in the corner there. And then there's a little bit there as well. But I don't mind it with those kind of colors because those work beautifully. So I'm gonna just clean the fallout, and then I might as well do my complexion, and then I can do the liner and the rest of my lower lash line and that after that. So see you in a sec. I'm back. So as you can see, I finished the rest of my face and that eye. So I'm gonna go in next with an eyeliner, and I use the Milani Brown Foil Fierce Foil Eyeliner, which I am actually really enjoying using again. It's a nice creamy formula. It's powder, but it's a cream, if it makes sense. So I'm gonna do the tiniest flake with this, not a big one. You guys know, if you've been around here, I'm not one for huge flakes. It just doesn't suit my eye shape. So now we're gonna move on to the lower lash line, where I'm certain you can barely tell. It's quite hard to tell even in real life, but we're gonna do it either way. So for the inner corner, I'm gonna go in with the Morphe B16 brush and the shade Serenity. Tap the brush off, otherwise I will have fallout all over my face, and try to just sort of press it into the skin, which is quite hard, so I do a bit of dragging too. But this shade doesn't have a lot of payoff, I have to say. There's not a lot of color, but I will have to do. I have no other choice. And then for the outer corner, I'm just trying to find my brush. I just went in on an angled brush, if my camera decides to focus. So it's just an angled brush like that, and I went on the shade Lovesick, which is a lot more pigmented. I mean, not a lot more, it's still pastel, but you can already see just with one small swipe. And with this one, I can actually swipe it as well rather than just petting it, which is nice. Oh my god, you could not see the whole thing, could you? Let me show you again. So I just went all the way in the corner, and I really liked pulling it there under the liner, which I did on that side as well. So I just repeated the same thing on this side and tried to blend the two together like so. Apart from mascara, the only thing I have left is highlighter, and I put the smallest bit in my inner corner. I mean, the whole eye is fairly matte, but I thought a little bit of shimmer never hurts. So I put a little bit of my actual highlighter that I use on my cheeks as well, both in the inner corner and on my brow bone. So I'm gonna do the same on this eye. So a bit of HydraLuminous on a small flat brush in the inner corner. Just a little bit, not overly a lot at all. And then a little bit there. Then mascara, and I'm using the Flower Beauty Boombastic? Yeah, I think it is. I don't know why I got so confused about that. It's the Boombastic Overdose Mascara, and it's really growing on me, so can I just use that? And then let me show you the overall look. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so my camera doesn't have such a hard time focusing on my eyes. And I'm gonna change the lighting first to brighter, which will just wash it out a bit. Now we're gonna go for darker, which I'm not sure helps at all. And we're gonna go to this one. This might be actually optimal for the eyes, but I like it around this setting so it's not too dark. But now let's hop into my overall thoughts. So once you're this far away, I'm not even sure you can see much of my eye. Now in person I have no problem seeing it. I actually don't mind how it looks, but it's really soft, really soft even for a pastel. So let's see what I think of this palette overall. So I used it so far. I tried a few of the shades. Well, I think I tried all of the shades yesterday. I did a similar look to this and then I used it today. So I had it for 2 days and it looks fairly used already. I think part of that is due to the fact that this palette needs a lot of tapping in if you want to make sure that you get enough pigment on your eyes. Which you know, again, let me get into how I think this palette can be used. So, first things first, it is £10 on Beauty Bay. It's Beauty Bay's own brand. Now, this is the first thing that I try from the brand. I love using the website, but for some reason I've never felt compelled to order anything. But this really caught my eye, so I decided to purchase it. And actually it came in this bubble wrap. So it was just nice and snug in there, and then it was in a beautiful pastel coloured box, like so. I feel like I need to take the brightness down so it's easier for you to see. I think that's a touch better. So it came in this beautiful box. It was nicely wrapped and really safe and snug in the bubble wrap. So that's a great thing. I don't know if they do this with all their palettes. That's what happened with this palette. It's a good size as well. And it has a good size, good quality mirror as well. So I can see my setup. And I actually left this for the video, but are we ready for the foil? Hold on. The satisfaction of that. But yes, it has a really nice size mirror. And it's actually really good quality as well, so if for some reason you want to travel with this, I don't see why we would want to. But if you want to, it's perfect. Or if you like to use a smaller mirror as well on your table, like I do when I get ready on camera, so it's easier to come up close, then it's perfect for that as well. Now, I really like the pastel colors in there. The only thing I would say is that because the inside has this shiny white packaging, and it actually has like an iridescent glitter in there, the names are really hard to read because as they are beautiful and colorful, but if you see there, it's just a bit hard to read. And I get it, it's to reflect the colors in the palette, but because the packaging is shiny, the names are hard to read. Now, do you need to be able to read the names properly unless you're on YouTube? No, not really. But I just thought I'm gonna mention that as well. As you've seen it as well when I was using it and I kept showing it to you, there's loads of fallout in this palette, which I guess it doesn't matter because it's so affordable, and I don't know obviously how deep the pens are, but I would say it's a decent amount for as much as you need pastels for. But I would say if you use this palette, make sure that you do your eyes first, otherwise you're gonna really struggle and you'll have loads of fallout to clean. And it's not just a little bit of like a oops, a little bit of color, like no, it's a lot of fallout. You could see on my inner corner as well, there was loads of yellow, there was loads of orange, and even though it's a pastel and the color payoff is not the strongest, trust me, you will see a little bit of like a discoloration there and it's gonna drive you nuts. So I would say definitely do your eyes first when you use this palette. Now, yesterday I tried it side by side. On one eye I used a concealer, which was the Wet n Wild Photo Focus concealer, and on the other eye I tried my Urban Decay Primer Potion, the original one, which is the purple one, so this one. And surprisingly it worked a lot better on the concealer side. Now, I don't know if it's because this one has no color to it and the concealer does, but today I used my Tarte Shape Tape and it works about the same as it did on the Wet n Wild concealer. I think the tackier the base, the better it works, because I feel like this one smooths the eyelid out a lot, but it's not necessarily tacky. And maybe if you have a white base as well, maybe if you have like the P. Louise white base, I think that could really give these colors an extra bit more pop as well. But that's just interesting to me that an eyeshadow primer does worse with this than a concealer. But again, I think it's because of, I don't want to say lack of color, because they are pastels at the end of the day. They're not supposed to be super bright. But still, it gives you a better color payoff with a concealer. Again, if you want to use an eyeshadow primer, I would use something stickier than this one, because I think this one is more smoothing. So a stickier base or like a thicker base could maybe do better with this, because that would give the shadow more base to stick to, and I think with shadows and colors like this, that's definitely an extra. Another thing I would keep in mind with this, as you could see it throughout the tutorial as well, that I feel like the color payoff is a bit inconsistent with this palette. Sorry, I'm showing you the back. The color payoff is a bit inconsistent, and I think you can see that when I'm swatching it as well. My favorite from this palette is absolutely Cloud Free, which is this turquoise color that has a beautiful payoff. It doesn't blend away that easily either, so that's beautiful. Actually, Love Sick works quite well as well. And I think the pastel yellow works really well as well, knowing that it's not supposed to be a bright yellow, it's a pastel, so it's a lot more muted, a lot more chalky, I guess. That's what my boyfriend said when he's seen this yesterday. Oh my god, look, I clawed my nail in the corner. I had this palette for 2 days and I'm ruining it already. Great. But yeah, my boyfriend looked at it and was like, oh, chalky, and I'm like, no, it's pastels, it's supposed to be a lot more muted. And it definitely is muted when you look at it, but I would say yes, Cloud Free is definitely a really good color. Love Sick works quite nice as well, and again, this yellow shade works really nice. I would say Days doesn't work too bad either, but then when it comes to a shade like this purple, oh, that's really bad. That's, I think, the one color that I do not seem to be able to make work, just no matter what I do with it. I tried it yesterday on the whole lid, I tried it in the crease, it's just so hard, and also it's a bit more grey toned, if it makes sense. Whereas the others are just a bit more, I don't want to say bright because they're not bright, but they seem to have a bit more punch to them, whereas that one is just a bit more grey toned. So Daydream, this purple is, I think that's, yeah, not my favorite. The shade I love color-wise is this, which is Golden Hour, but it can be a bit tricky to make it work as well. So I love the color, I just, the formula, it's not the formula, I think these colors are quite hard to pull off, like pastels in general, but I find that's quite hard to make work. But again, I feel like it's a good selection of shades, but some of them are a lot easier to work with than others, so it's a bit inconsistent. Another thing I wanted to mention is that it works a lot better with like softer brushes, so something like this when it comes to a blending brush, or something like this when it's like a flat brush. So this one is the Sigma E55, the other one is the Blancamus Cosmetics E42. It works great with my MAC brushes as well, or these like fake face brushes, but it doesn't work great with like geofiber brushes. And I don't know what it's about, like Sigma brushes, they are not real hair, but I don't think they are geofibers. So what I mean is brushes like, let's say this Real Techniques one. Or yesterday I was trying to use it with this one, which is just from an eBay set, but you see what I mean? Like not necessarily geofiber, but like these more plasticky applicators. Does that make sense? I don't know. So these sort of brushes, they don't pick it up as nice as like a fluffier, not necessarily fluffier, but like as a softer, I don't want to say real hairbrush. I know I'm saying a lot I don't want to say. Take a shot, I'm sorry, but anything that's more like real hair will pick it up better. I think it's because it's such a soft formula, so it's buttery soft to the touch, but it has a lot of fallout. So I think anything with a more real hair feel to it, again Sigma doesn't use animal hair, but anything with a more like real hair feel to it will grip onto that powder better. So those brushes generally tend to work better with this palette in particular. And even though it's only £10, does it worth it? I would say it depends on what you want this for, because if you only use this palette, you see it on my eyes, you've seen it in the close-ups, it's gonna be a really soft watercolor kind of effect. So, you know, depends. If you want this just to have pastel looks, I would say you're not gonna get away with like trying a really colorful pastel look. If you want a pastel look, I think this can be used beautifully as just a one shadow look. So for example, I did a look yesterday while I was playing around with it where I used Cloud Free all over the lid. Beautiful. Throw it in the crease, throw it in the lid. Beautiful. You can even throw a bit of highlighter on top of it and it will work great. Again, I think Love Sick would work perfectly for that. First light might be a bit trickier, you might need like a yellow base under it, but you could still do it. But most of the time, if you want a really colorful look that's pastel but still strong payoff, that's not going to be this palette. If you want to use it in companion to all your bright palettes to be To make it easier to blend out the bright shades, I think this is perfect because you can see the color payoff is so soft that you could, let's say, use a yellow in the crease, use this yellow to blend it out, perfect. Use a green all over the lid, use any of these greens to blend out, perfect. So I would say it depends how you want to use it. So I could imagine using this with, hold on, let me grab a few palettes. So let me get the most obvious palettes out of the way. One that it would work great with is the Morphe 35B. Now I know they don't sell this anymore, but you know, back in the day everyone bought this, I think, who wanted to play with colors. So I think these two could work perfectly together because this has loads of bold colors, and then you can use these colors to blend those out with, and you literally have the same color range. You have oranges, you have pinks, you have greens, you have yellows. So I think those two would work great hand in hand if you have this from back in the day. Another palette that, if you've seen my channel, you've seen it featured heavily, is my Huda Beauty Electric Obsessions. And again, this has really bold colors in there, and while I find it quite easy to get a full eye of look with it, I think that could benefit from having this palette next to it as well, because it has loads of bold colors like the orange, the yellow, the pink, and this has the really soft counterparts to it. So again, those would work great together. Another palette that I can imagine it working together with is the Jeffree Star Mini Breaker, or if you have the Joe Breaker, the Thirsty, whichever Jeffree Star palette you have, this would be a great companion to, because you have again the orange in here, and in here you have the purples in here and the pinks that would go great with the purples and the pinks in here. So I think again that could be a good companion palette to that one. And then other palettes that I can imagine using it with is this Barium Wildlife palette, and I think this is the Tiger one. Yes, it's the Tiger one. So this is a bit less of an unconventional, I think, choice. That's the one. So I think the orange and the burgundy in there could work here either with the orange or with the pink. Then you have the green here. That could work with the green. You could also use this orangey color with the yellow and the orange. So there are loads of beautiful combinations that could be born with the marriage of these two palettes. And then the last palette I have here next to me is the Fenty Beauty Moroccan Spice palette, because it has these beautiful bluey, grey pop of colors that I think could benefit from the blues and the teals in this palette. And then you could use in the outer corner something a bit more red, then that you could blend out with, let's say, this one, or with the bit more purpley, pinky shade as well. So I think those two palettes could look really beautiful together as well. So I feel like the way I'm gonna enjoy using this palette is as a companion palette, more so than a standalone palette. But what I can imagine as well is using, let's say, a shade like this, and as I mentioned before, throw like a highlighter on top of it, or with like a more glittery liquid liner just to jazz it up a little bit, and that way you have a really nice smooth color but really glittery and still more than, let's say, a brown neutral eye. So I think this could be a great palette to work that way as well. So again, it's really cheap, but depends what you want to do with it. If you're looking for a pastels color to use by itself, again, for the 100th time, no, that I don't think this will be the palette for you. If you're looking for it as an extension to your brights palette to help blend, then I feel like this is a great option. Now, yesterday, I think this came out last week. I literally bought it like 2 days after it came out, because for a few days I was mulling it over and I'm like, you know what, it's only £10, I'm gonna bite the bullet, I want it. And I did not regret it, but again, I want to use it with other palettes. So far, I only used it by itself, and while I like it, I feel like it has so much more potential paired with other palettes than by itself. If you want to buy it now, when I was looking at it yesterday, it was already sold out, but it's a new palette, so I'm pretty sure they will bring it back. I don't think it's limited edition. Well, if it is, I don't know, I missed that. But I'm pretty sure they will bring it back, so just keep an eye, I guess, on the website. But again, I don't feel like it's about palette, you just need to find the right way to use it. Again, it's not a bright palette, it's pastels. And I think now I said it way too many times. So I'm gonna go now. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth review. Let me know what you think, or if you got it, let me know how you enjoy using it or what do you think. But for now I'm gonna go. I hope you have a lovely day, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and then I have the occasional Saturday video as well, and it's always about makeup and beauty. I do tutorials, reviews, first impressions. I do project pans, I just could not think of that word for a second, and I try to throw in some fun challenges as well. But for now I'm gonna go. I would love it if you could join my little community here, but I'm gonna go now, and bye bye.